Hi there. This review is of Sakura Date. Now, recently I released a video on the local date, which is a kind of like a Tinder style of place to find somebody. Although I did see accounts on there where they were claiming they were after love. But the majority of the people there were there looking for sex. But, again, as I said in that video, it was a scam. The vast majority of the accounts on there were not real people. It was some kind of programming, maybe an AI, since AIs have been released into the to the public like DeepSeek. We're going to see an increase in the number of scam websites that are run by AI, and I think Sakura Date is one of them. So I cannot explain to you why, because if I tell you how I know this site is mostly a scam, aside from, you have to buy and spend a lot of money to do a little bit on this website, just like with the local date, I want you to understand that I don't want to help the criminals. I don't want to give them information that will make it easier for them to trick people. So I apologize if this seems like I'm scamming you, but I'm not asking for anything. I mean, if you want to support me by liking, subscribing, commenting, turning on notifications, sharing, and all that, that's great. But I'm not asking or requiring anything of you, unlike Sakura Date. So I spent a while on Sakura Date, and at first, I tried different tactics to see what kind of responses I would get. And I started to notice specific kinds of things happening that indicated to me that I was probably mostly not communicating with humans. I do believe that sometimes I was communicating with humans because I got some very interesting comments that were just, they seemed to indicate to me that there was a human behind that particular comment. Okay, and that's fine. But when I say a human, I'm not talking about a woman necessarily. I'm talking about an employee. And Sakura Date is focused on helping you find an Asian person to date or hook up with or marry or whatever. And this is a much higher class of website than the local date as far as what you see. So you're not going to get on there. You're not going to see a bunch of nudies of men or women or whatever. You're going to see nice looking pictures. And many of them are studio pictures. Some of them have a different background on them than where they were originally taken. So there's a green screen involved, and so on and so forth. And you'll see many of these women have had professional makeup work done, and they can look so different from the way they look without makeup. And honestly, some of the pictures, when I see these Asian women wearing these colored lenses for contact lenses, I'm just like, ew, oh, gross. It just doesn't work, but that's beside the point. That's not about the website. That's just personal commentary. So as I went along, what I decided to do was I decided to fill out my profile with fake information and to see if, except for a couple of things, like number one, my age, and number two, that I have children, and that number three, that I'm in the United States. So I wanted to see what kind of responses I would get. And I know that in some parts of the world, especially places where there's a lot of poverty, where the value of the currency is low compared to the dollar, or where there's a lot of strife, maybe war or something like that. People are desperate to get out. They're desperate to get somebody who can provide them with financial stability. And I know this because I observed this in the long time that I spent in Indonesia. So, in these places, and I'm not just picking Indonesia to talk about this, but Indonesia is my personal experience. But I can talk about Filipinos, I can talk about Indians, I can talk about Latin Americans, I can talk about Africans, and so on and so forth. Most of the world is in a condition of sustained economic distress. And so some people, in their desire to escape that condition, which I understand, they will accept somebody that wouldn't wouldn't accept otherwise. So, say for example, you're sick. I mean, like, you're gonna, it's not gonna be a long-term relationship. No problem. They'll be happy to love you or at least make you feel loved and take care of you until you die, because then they get your money, they get your property, everything. So to them, it's an easy trade-off. Spend the last few years of your life taking care of you, and the reward is they have enough wealth that they can take care of themselves and their family back in their home country. And I think that's a reasonable trade-off. I don't know if everybody feels that way. I don't know. Personally, it would be hard for me, because I would know that the woman wasn't there for me, unless she told me this up front. She said, "Look, you're dying. I feel bad for you. My life is a struggle. How about if we, just join together, and I'll help take care of you until you die, and then I get what you have." And if that's the way she approached it, I probably would be willing to consider that. Although it'd still make me sad knowing that she was more there as paid help, really, than as my wife or girlfriend, whatever. But yeah, the reality is they're looking for status sometimes. They're looking for money sometimes. They're looking for a green card sometimes. Sometimes they want that and more. You could be 500 pounds and pug ugly, and women will flock to you if they think that it's going to benefit them. You can be really old, like in your 80s, and you'll get a woman. You can be whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Especially if you've got money, they're interested. You can go to any of these countries, and you will never have a lack of opportunities. Even if, it's just, that's the way it is. And I don't want to explain why, because then I'll just forget what I'm doing this video about, which is Sakura Date. But it's the reality. It's the sad reality. And I feel bad for everybody who's stuck in that kind of situation. I've been poor, so maybe not the poorest in the world, and it wasn't for a long, long time, but my life has not been the easiest life in the world. So I understand. Now, so I set it up, and at first I was just looking at profiles because I didn't know what was going to happen. Now, I did do a search for women in America, and I was very surprised to see less than 10 shown for America between the ages of 18 and 40. And on my profile, that's the age range that I stated for what I was looking for. But in reality, I would not actually date a woman under the age of 25 because of the lack of maturity. And so what I saw was an indicator of either desperation or loneliness or not legitimate. And I saw so much of the wrong kind of indicators that I am convinced it's a scam. And reviewing these kinds of sites is hard for me because I am alone, because I have been celibate since 2015. I've been chaste since 2017 when my wife died. So these reviewing this kind of a website is really hard, especially when I'm having women, throw themselves at me, and they're really, really gorgeous women. But I know from when I was in my 20s and I got scammed on a Russian dating site that I don't want other people to fall into that trap, because some people spend huge amounts of money on these websites. And that is the whole point of the website. The whole point of the website is to get as many real people on there and soak them for as much money as possible, giving them this faint hope of love. When in reality, if I were a scammer running one of these sites, what I would do is I would set it up so you would never, ever communicate with another real user. Because a real user can share their email address, can share their phone number. But if you're only talking to the AI, you're only talking to the employees, you could spend days, weeks, months, even years trying to connect to somebody who you could actually talk to on the phone, who you could write to, and who you could actually meet someday. And if that happens, then they lose a customer. They lose your money. So there's no incentive for them to actually connect you to anybody else who's also seeking sex or love. And again, this site is a honey trap. It is a honey trap because they will play on all of your desires. When I first started, the comments were very innocent and polite and curious and very intellectual many times. And then eventually there started to be some that were subtly hinting towards sex. And then it just became more and more direct. And that's okay. It was, my poor heart. But I knew they weren't real. And here's the clincher, which for me is almost worse than the fact that this is a scam, is that they're using your activity on their website to monitor your computer. Like they have the ability through their website, through your going to their website and using it to access your camera and microphone. They can see you. I can't explain how I know this. Again, I have to keep this stuff secret so that they don't get better at it. But they are hacking into your computer to one extent or another. So not only do I not recommend you go and make an account looking for love or sex on this website, but I also recommend don't go to this website at all, because there's no way for me to guarantee that your computer will not be breached and permanently infected with malware, malicious software. So although there are lots of very beautiful Asian women shown on here from different countries, in Asia, obviously, it's all a scam. They're going to try to get as much as they can out of you. They're going to bleed you dry if they can. And whereas with the local date, you're going to see lots of nude photos, many of which have been taken off of porn sites that are either publicly accessible or behind paywalls. Some of these pictures on this site are clearly green screen. Some of them are clearly AI. And some of them are, as far as I can tell anyway, some of them are legitimately of people. But you're not going to meet somebody. You're not going to fall in love. You're not even going to have sex. Either way. Either site. So be very careful when you go to any dating site that isn't very well known and respected and trusted, because you're probably just going to lose your money. Maybe for years. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any thoughts, please put them down below. And please don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on notifications to help me because I'm unable to work at this time. Also, if you can help me financially, please, you can do a super thanks on my channel, Glenn's Fast Reviews. And you can also become a member there, and or you can go to patreon.com/GLENNMII and become a member there. Thank you so much. Have a great